The Philippines maintained its military strength with power index of 0.4691 on the 2024 Military Strength Ranking, issued by Global Firepower. The Philippines landed at 34th spot globally considered as middle power, with gains in military capability. The Philippines ranks 14th in Asia and 5th among the ASEAN 6. The military manpower is one of the few categories that Philippines have exceptional power index score. The country has total military personnel of more than 1,385,000, which ranked 14th globally. The Philippines' strongest measure is defense networks, outpacing its regional peers, where it places 9th, reflecting the extent of its bilateral military cooperation with treaty allies with the United States. The score for defense networks is measured by a country's regional alliances, global defense partnerships, and regional defense diplomacy. The Philippines also exerts more influence in the region than expected given its available resources, as indicated by the country's positive power gap score. The Asia Power Index also reported the Philippines posted gains in diplomatic influence, which refers to a country's diplomatic network, multilateral power, and its foreign policy thrust. In addition, the countries hold high-level bilateral and plurilateral defense diplomacy meetings, include the US, Australia, Japan, India, Israel, South Korea, France, Germany and other Western allies. The increase in the Philippines' overall military strength is due to its modernization efforts. The Armed Forces of the Philippines is currently undertaking a modernization program, with countries such as France, Israel, and India offering to give new technology to the country. Its ongoing modernization efforts are allowing the Armed Forces of the Philippines, in fulfilling its mandate of protecting the nation and the people, including safeguarding the country's sovereignty. The Mutual Defense Treaty between the Republic of the Philippines and the United States of America, signed in 1951, serves as a foundation for the close security cooperation between the two countries. 72 years after its signing, the alliance continues to thrive in the ever-evolving security environment that surrounds the Philippines. The U.S.-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty evolved into the 1998 Visiting Forces Agreement, VFA, and the 2014 Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, EDCA. The VFA provides the legal basis and status protections for U.S. military and Department of Defense civilian personnel in the Philippines on official business, while EDCA authorizes U.S. forces to access of agreed locations in the Philippines on a rotational basis, for security cooperation exercises, joint and combined military training activities, and humanitarian assistance and disaster relief activities. The United States struck a deal with the Philippines earlier this year to expand its military presence in its former colony to 4 additional bases, part of a years-long Pentagon buildup in the Asia-Pacific region meant to counter Chinese influence. Geography affords the U.S.-Japan-Philippines-Australia alliance signal abundant opportunities to make trouble for the People's Liberation Army, denying China's military access to the vast maneuver space of the Western Pacific while hampering its movements up and down the Asian seaboard. Fortifying the offshore island chain while deploying naval assets in adjoining waters could yield major strategic gains. Yet the Philippines archipelago and island of Taiwan is the most strategic portion of the major part of the first island chain, which refers to the first chain of major Pacific archipelagos out from the East Asian continental mainland coast. Currently, the first island chain is the most effective point to counter any Chinese invasion and expanding influence. Philippines Armed Forces Modernization Plan. The third phase of the military's 15-year modernization plan, dubbed Horizon 3, includes the acquisition of multi-role fighter jets, radars, 2 additional Jose Rizal-class frigates, missile systems, helicopters and the country's first submarine fleet. Initial plans also included acquiring additional BrahMos missiles and high-mobility artillery rocket systems for the Army for coastal defense. The modernization effort began in 2013, but budget limitations have delayed progress. Defense Secretary Gilberto Teodoro told lawmakers last month that 10% of Horizon 1, meant to take place from 2013 to 2018, and about 53% of Horizon 2, scheduled from 2018 to 2022, are complete. However, in response to clashes between China and the Philippines in recent weeks, Manila is speeding up its acquisition plans, with the legislature earmarking 45 billion pesos in defense spending for 2024. Last week, the Defense Department ordered 3 C-130J-30 Super Hercules tactical airlifters for delivery in 2026, according to a news release from Lockheed Martin. The Philippines is also expecting to receive 2 BrahMos missile units in December from India, more Acero-class gunboats next year under a deal with Israel, 2 new landing dock platforms from Indonesia next year, 2 corvettes from South Korea around the 2025 and 2026 time frame, and 6 offshore patrol vessels also from South Korea in 2028. Horizon 3 requires 500 billion pesos spread out over the next 6 years, but it is unclear how the government intends to finance the program. However, some countries have offered assistance. For example, France pitched its Scorpene diesel-electric submarines as early as 2019, and its proposal includes helping the Philippines Navy develop its base in Zambales. Others bidding to supply the Philippines with submarines include Spain, which submitted a $1.7 billion offer to supply 2 S-80 class submarine, and South Korea's Hanwha Ocean, which updated its proposal last month for 2 Jongbogo 3 diesel-electric submarines. The estimated budget for procuring 2 submarines has been pegged at 70 to 100 billion Philippine pesos or 1.3 to 1.8 billion United States dollars. The procurement is part of the Philippines Navy's Horizon 3 modernization plan from 2023 to 2028. Once the deal is finalized, it will take at least 5 years for the first of the submarines to enter the fleet. The capability of the Philippine Navy to build its own major warship vessels may no longer be a far-fetched idea. In fact, it might happen next year, as the Philippine Navy eyes foreign shipbuilders to acquire additional multi-mission vessels, including warships and submarines. As part of its long-term modernization program, a local company wants to get a share of the country's defense spending on maritime assets. But it admits the ambitious plan could not be carried out without challenges. In terms of the ability to build vessels, the Philippines can actually do a lot. The country has some medium-sized to large-sized shipyards. Earlier this year, the Philippine Navy's capability to build its own warships, particularly the small and hard-hitting fast-attack interdictor craft missile, FAICM, got a needed boost after Israel Shipyards Limited transferred the documents and keys of a newly refurbished shipyard to its possession. The upgraded shipyard is located at Naval Station Pascual Ledesma in Cavite City. The newly refurbished naval shipyard will facilitate the local construction of the 3 FAICM vessels, which will form part of the fleet of Philippine Navy's Acero-class patrol gunboats. Its formal handover ceremony was lined up last May as part of the Navy's pre-anniversary activities. This is a significant milestone for the shipbuilding capability of the Philippine Navy and at the time boosts the country's self-reliant defense posture program, one of the current 10-point agenda of the Department of National Defense. The 32-meter-long fast-attack interdictor craft missiles are high-speed vessels equipped with quick interceptability, remote-stabilized weapons, and short-range missiles that are capable of delivering precision strikes against larger hostiles and high-value targets on land and sea. 4 of the fast-attack interdictor craft missiles will be armed with non-line-of-sight missiles with pinpoint accuracy and a range of 25 kilometers, while the other 5 will be armed with Typhoon-mounted 30mm main cannons and .50 caliber heavy machine guns. The acquisition of these fast-attack interdictor craft missile is among the 2019 projects approved by former President Rodrigo Duterte's under the Horizon 2 list of the Armed Forces of the Philippines Modernization Program. The Philippines can develop its own shipbuilding industry to ensure the military will have the capability to secure the country and its territorial waters from piracy, terrorism and encroachment. The Philippines inaugurated a new Coast Guard monitoring station base on Thitu in Calayan Island Group, an island occupied by Filipino forces in the disputed South China Sea, and plans to expand joint patrols with the US and Australia to counter China's increasingly aggressive actions and peer bullying in the strategic waterway. The completion of the station, which will be officially commissioned in early 2024, was designed to enhance the monitoring capabilities of the Philippines in the South China Sea region. This came as Coast Guard officials reported a further increase in the Chinese presence in the disputed region. Inaugurated earlier this month, the new 3-story facility is equipped with state-of-the-art technology such as radar, automatic identification, satellite communication, and coastal cameras. Manila's outpost of Thitu is its biggest and most strategically important in the South China Sea, largely claimed by Beijing despite conflicting territorial claims by several regional nations. Known locally as Pag-asa, Thitu lies about 300 miles or 480 kilometers west of the Philippine province of Palawan. Home to about 200 people, it is used by Manila to maintain its territorial claim. A new Coast Guard station on the contested island of Thitu in the South China Sea, boosting Philippines' ability to monitor movements of Chinese vessels and aircraft in the busy disputed waterway. As tension mounts over territorial claims in the area, the Philippine Coast Guard had early this year spotted a Chinese Navy ship and dozens of militia vessels around the island, one of 9 features Manila occupies in the Spratly Archipelago. High seas face-offs between Chinese and Philippine ships have intensified this year in the contested waters, fueling fears of a larger conflict that could involve the United States. The U.S. has repeatedly warned that it's obligated to defend the Philippines, its oldest treaty ally in Asia, if Filipino forces come under an armed attack, including in the South China Sea. The behavior of the Chinese Coast Guard, People's Liberation Army Navy and Chinese militias are sometimes unpredictable. They do not adhere to the international order and to the rule of law of the seas. What China's describing as gray zone tactics are pure bullying, and it's purely illegal. Dwarfed by China's military might, the Philippines decided this year to allow an expansion of the U.S. military presence in its local camps under a 2014 defense pact. It also recently launched joint sea and air patrols with the United States and Australia in a new deterrence strategy that puts the two allied powers on a collision course with Beijing. On related news, Japan has delivered to the Philippines the first unit of a long-range air surveillance radar system to be used by the Philippine Air Force. It was part of the first major deal on military hardware that Japan had reached with another country since easing its self-imposed prohibition on arms exports. The 5.5 billion pesos shipment was made last month while work is ongoing on the remaining units for future delivery, the Japanese manufacturer Mitsubishi Electric Company said in a statement last week. The company made the announcement on the eve of the arrival of Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida in Manila for a 2-day official visit. For Japan, the Philippines is a strategic partner that will share basic defense values and to enhance cooperation in defense equipment and technology. This is important for ensuring peace and stability in Japan and the region, particularly in South China Sea. In 2014, Tokyo lifted its arms export ban for the first time since its defeat in World War II. On the Philippine side, the Department of National Defense ordered 3 fixed and 1 mobile long-range air surveillance radars in 2020 for 5.5 pesos billion under a government-to-government deal. In an earlier statement, the Philippines Department of National Defense said the upgrade was expected to help detect, identify, and correlate any threats and intrusions within the country's exclusive economic zone. The first radar delivered in October was installed in a location facing the West Philippine Sea. The country's EEZ and the West Philippine Sea in general have been the site of recurring tensions between Philippine and Chinese Coast Guard vessels, leading to on and off diplomatic rifts between Manila and Beijing. The new warning and control radar system, FPS-3ME, can detect multiple fighter jets and ballistic missiles. The FPS-3ME is an improved version of the FPS-3 radar, which has been used by the Japan Air Self-Defense Force, according to manufacturer Mitsubishi Electric Corporation. The Japanese company in August 2020 signed a contract with the Philippine Defense Department worth about $100 million for 4 FPS-3ME radars. Domestic production for the first radar concluded in October 2022, and the Philippine Air Force received it last week. The second radar is meant for the Philippine Navy, and its acquisition is made possible thanks to $4.2 million from a Japanese-run security assistance program, according to the Japanese and Philippine governments. Neither the Japanese government nor Mitsubishi have disclosed the status of the remaining radar systems on order. The coastal radar systems are a vital addition to the armed forces of the Philippines' maritime defense capabilities and will bolster its ability to monitor and protect its extensive coastline, ensuring the safety and security of its seas. The Philippines defense chief is pushing for a swift and sweeping modernization of his country's Navy and Coast Guard to tackle Beijing's aggressive tactics in the disputed South China Sea.